My name is Valerie Green. I'm 36 years old. 5 years ago, my parents told me they couldn't afford to save my 7-year-old daughter's life. They said they were broke, stretched thin, living on a fixed income, their money locked up in investments they couldn't touch. 2 months later, I found out they had co-signed a $580,000 waterfront condominium for my brother. The purchase agreement was signed 2 weeks before my daughter's heart stopped beating. They don't know that I kept every single receipt, every email, every text message. 63 pages of proof, organized in a 3-ring binder. Last month, my brother collapsed at his office in Seattle. Acute myeloid leukemia. The doctor said he needs a bone marrow donor, a perfect 10 out of 10 HLA match. My mother called me for the first time in 4 years. She was crying. Valerie, you're his only chance. What happened next changed everything they thought they knew about me. This is that story. I need to take you back to understand how we got here. Back to when I still believed my parents loved both their children the same way. I was born in 1990. My brother Ethan came first, 4 years earlier, in 1986. We grew up in Haddonfield, New Jersey, one of those upper-middle-class suburbs where the houses all have 2-car garages and the high school sends kids to Ivy League colleges. My father was an accountant at a mid-sized firm. My mother Helen worked as a branch manager at a bank. Comfortable, stable, the kind of childhood that looks perfect in Christmas cards. But if you looked at the numbers, and I eventually did, you'd see the pattern. Ethan's college fund when we were growing up, $34,000. Mine, $8,200. I found the statements years later when I was helping them transfer files to a new computer. I remember staring at those figures, my stomach twisting. I asked my mother about it once, casually, trying not to sound hurt. Honey, Ethan's older. We had more time to save for him. Don't worry, we'll help you too. They did help. With loans. I graduated from Temple University in 2012 with $61,000 in student debt. Ethan graduated from Princeton in 2008, debt-free, with a corner office at Morgan Stanley waiting for him. Christmas 1998 is burned into my memory. I was 8. Ethan was 12. He unwrapped a Nintendo 64, brand new, $199, with 4 games. I got a used bicycle from a garage sale. My parents had spray-painted it purple because they knew it was my favorite color. We thought you'd like the exercise, Dad said, smiling. I told myself it didn't matter. I told myself love wasn't about money. I was wrong. Family dinners became showcases for Ethan's achievements. Thanksgiving 2015, I just started working at a non-profit helping homeless families find housing. I was making $41,000 a year. I was proud of the work. It mattered. My mother set down the turkey and smiled at Ethan. Tell everyone about the deal, sweetheart. Ethan grinned. Closed a $12 million acquisition last week. Biggest in our division this quarter. Everyone applauded. My father raised his wine glass. That's my boy. Then my mother turned to me, almost as an afterthought. Valerie, how's your job at the non-profit going? The way she said non-profit, like it was a hobby, not a career. It's good. We housed 3 families this month. That's nice, honey. Ethan's bonus that year was $340,000. I know because he mentioned it, not to brag exactly, just as a fact. The way you'd mention the weather. When I met James in 2013, my parents asked whether he made good money. James was a civil engineer earning around $60,000, stable, reliable. We fell in love fast, the kind of love that feels inevitable, like we'd been searching for each other our whole lives. When Ethan started dating Natalie, a corporate attorney with a Hermes briefcase, my parents asked whether she had good connections. You see the difference. James proposed in 2014. We'd been together a year. I was pregnant, not planned, but we were happy. Excited. Scared, but ready. My mother forced a smile at my baby shower. Well, At least James has a steady job. Engineering, that's practical. My father wrote us a check for $500 as a baby gift. I found out later he had given Ethan $15,000 for a down payment on his first car that same month. Lily Marie Green was born on April 3, 2014. 7 pounds, 2 ounces. Born at Pennsylvania Hospital in Philadelphia. She had my eyes, bright green, curious, and James's smile. The kind of smile that made you smile back even when you were exhausted. My parents visited twice in her first year. Ethan sent a $50 Amazon gift card. I told myself it was fine. They were busy. I was building my own family now. James and I had each other. We had Lily. That was enough. I told myself that for 7 years. And then Lily got sick. That's the day everything started to fall apart. Lily fainted at school. Her second-grade teacher called me at work. I was in the middle of a case review meeting, trying to help a single mother navigate emergency housing options. My phone buzzed. Something made me look down. Mrs. Carter, this is Ann Patterson, Lily's teacher. Lily fainted during recess. The nurse is with her, but I think you should come. I was in my car in under 3 minutes. Lily was sitting in the nurse's office when I arrived, pale, but smiling when she saw me. Hi, Mommy. I'm okay. I just got dizzy. The nurse pulled me aside. Her heart rate was really elevated when I checked. 130 beats per minute. She says she's been tired lately. I'd recommend getting her checked out. We went to the ER that afternoon. They ran an EKG. A doctor, young, tired-looking, kind, came back with results that made my stomach drop. Mrs. Carter, Lily's heart rhythm is abnormal. I'm referring you to pediatric cardiology at CHOP, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. The best pediatric hospital on the East Coast. You don't get referred to CHOP for nothing. The appointment was May 18th. 6 days of barely sleeping. 6 days of watching Lily play with her dolls, laughing at cartoons, completely unaware that something inside her was broken. James took the day off. We drove together, holding hands in silence. Lily sat in the back seat humming a song from Frozen. Room 7B. Pediatric Cardiology. Dr. Rachel Weinstein. Dr. Weinstein was in her mid-40s, with gray streaks in her dark hair and the kind of steady, calm presence that probably kept parents from completely losing it in her office. She performed the echo herself, moving the wand across Lily's chest while Lily watched the screen, fascinated. Is that my heart? Lily asked. It is, Dr. Weinstein said gently. Pretty cool, right? When it was done, she asked Lily if she'd like to go to the waiting room and pick out a sticker. A nurse took her hand. Then Dr. Weinstein sat down across from us. Mr. and Mrs. Carter, Lily has dilated cardiomyopathy. Her heart muscle is enlarged and isn't pumping efficiently. Her ejection fraction, the percentage of blood her heart pushes out with each beat, is 28%. Normal is 50 to 70. What does that mean? I managed. It means her heart is failing. James made a sound, not quite a gasp, more like the air being punched from his lungs. This is likely genetic. Familial dilated cardiomyopathy is progressive. Without intervention, Lily's heart will continue to weaken. What kind of intervention? She needs a heart transplant. The room tilted. The National Transplant List has an average wait time of 18 months, but Lily's condition is severe enough to qualify for priority status. To get her listed formally, we need a deposit. Dr. Weinstein slid a paper across her desk. I stared at it. Transplant list deposit, $195,000. Insurance coverage estimated, $31,000. Patient responsibility, $164,000. My vision tunneled. I know this is overwhelming, Dr. Weinstein said quietly. The total cost of the transplant surgery and first-year follow-up is approximately $1.2 million. Insurance will cover most of that once she's listed. This deposit gets her on the list. Without the transplant, I whispered. What happens? Dr. Weinstein met my eyes. 6 months to a year. Maybe less. I'm so sorry. And with it, her 5-year survival rate is 83%. 83%. Not a guarantee but a chance. A real chance. We need to move quickly. I'd recommend getting her listed within the next 8 weeks. 8 weeks to raise $164,000. I looked at James. He was staring at the paper like it was written in a language he'd never learned. We drove home in silence. Lily fell asleep in the back seat. That night, after we put her to bed, James and I sat at the kitchen table and went through every number we had. Savings, $12,000. James's 401k, we could withdraw up to $50,000, but after penalties and taxes we'd net maybe $42,000. My 401k, $18,000. Total equity in our home. We were renters. Credit cards maxed from medical bills at Lily's birth. We made a GoFundMe. James wrote the description. I kept starting and deleting because everything I wrote sounded like begging. Our daughter Lily, age 7, needs a heart transplant to survive. Please help us save her life. We shared it everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, our church, James's job, my job, every parent at Lily's school. 3 weeks later, we had raised $31,240 from 1,847 people. Strangers and coworkers and people we'd never met sending $10, $20, $50 with messages that said praying for Lily and stay strong and God bless. I cried reading every single one. We were still $114,000 short. James looked at me across the table at 2 in the morning. We'd been awake for hours calling banks, researching medical loans, trying to find any door that would open. I called 15 banks, he said. His voice was hollow. Medical debt isn't collateral. They all said no. I stared at the number on the paper. $114,000. Val, James said quietly. We need your parents. I hadn't asked my parents for money in 15 years. Not since college, when they had made it clear that asking for help was a sign of poor planning. But this was Lily. I picked up the phone. My hands were shaking. I called my mother first. June 8, 2021. 7:14 p.m. The call lasted 11 minutes. I know because I checked the log afterward, over and over, trying to understand how it had gone so wrong so fast. I told her everything. The diagnosis, the ejection fraction, the transplant, the deposit, the GoFundMe, the $114,000 we still needed. There was a long pause. Oh, honey, she said finally. That careful, sympathetic tone people use when they're about to say no. That's devastating. I'm so sorry. Have you tried a GoFundMe? I've seen those work wonders. We did. We raised $31,000. We're still short. What about insurance? They'll cover the surgery once she's listed. But we need the deposit to get her listed. Another pause. Let me talk to your father. We'll call you back. They called back 4 days later. June 12th. 7:03 p.m. My father did all the talking. My mother was silent in the background. Valerie, your mother explained the situation. We're heartbroken for you. Truly. But we need to be honest about our financial position. Okay. We retired early in 2019. We're living on a fixed income. Social Security, our pensions, our retirement accounts. Most of our money is in index funds. The market took a hit during COVID. If we liquidate now, we'd lose close to 40% of our principal. We can't destroy our retirement savings. Dad, Lily is 7 years old. I understand that. But we have to think long-term. We're 68 and 66. What if we get sick? What if we need long-term care? What if Lily dies? I whispered. His jaw tightened. That's not fair. You're manipulating us. I'm asking you to help save your granddaughter. We don't have the liquidity. I'm sorry. Every door I tried, he closed. The house, a home equity line, selling assets. Every suggestion, refused. Dad, please. I'm begging you. I'm sorry, Valerie. We wish we could help. He hung up. I sat there staring at my phone, waiting for it to feel real. It didn't. James tried next. He kept it secret for 3 months because he didn't want to hurt me more than I was already hurting. He called my father directly. June 22nd, 4:32 p.m. The call lasted 6 minutes. My father's response, according to James, was colder. Son, we understand you're scared, but we can't enable financial irresponsibility. You two need to explore other options. James told me about that call 3 months after Lily died. We were lying in bed, unable to sleep, and he just said it, like he'd been carrying it and finally couldn't anymore. I didn't cry. I think I was past crying by then. But I remember thinking, my father said that to my husband while our daughter was dying. On June 28th, James and I flew to Naples, Florida. We'd booked the tickets on a credit card we couldn't afford. We had to try one more time. Face to face. My parents' condominium was at 1847, Cypress Terrace, Naples, Florida. I remember the address because I looked it up on Zillow later. Estimated value, $385,000. They had downsized when they retired, sold the Haddonfield house, moved to Florida for the weather and the lower taxes. My mother opened the door. Surprised. Valerie, James, you didn't tell us you were coming. It was last minute, I said. She hugged me. She smelled like the lavender lotion she'd worn my whole childhood. For just a second, I was 8 years old again, believing my mother could fix anything. We sat in their living room. New furniture. A Peloton bike visible through the open guest room door. A wine fridge built into the kitchen island. I explained again. The deadline. The deposit. The time running out. My mother cried, real tears. She held my hand. If we had it, we'd give it. You know that. But we're old, Valerie. What if we get sick? What if we need long-term care? What if Lily dies? I whispered. My father's face hardened. That's not fair. You're manipulating us. I'm asking you to help save your granddaughter. We can't, he said. I'm sorry. I looked around the room. The new sectional. The 70-inch television. The wine fridge. But no money for Lily. We flew home the next day. 2 weeks later, on July 8th, I convinced my parents to visit Lily at the hospital. I actually thought, I thought, that if they saw her, if they held her hand, if they watched her talk about her new heart like it was a superhero upgrade, they'd change their minds. We met them at CHOP. 4th floor, West Wing, room 412. Lily was so happy to see them. Grandma, Grandpa. She held out her arms. My mother hugged her, careful of the 4 lines. Hi, sweetheart. How are you feeling? I'm okay. The doctors say I'm going to get a new heart. Like a superhero upgrade. My mother smiled through tears. That's right, baby. You're so strong. They stayed for 2.5 hours. They read her a book. They watched her favorite show. They laughed at her jokes. And then in the parking lot, I asked again. Dad, please. He shook his head. Valerie, we've been over this. They got into their rental car and drove away. The deadline was 7 days away. July 15th, 2021. I called Dr. Weinstein. We didn't make it, I said. My voice sounded flat. Empty. We don't have the money. There was a pause on the other end of the line. Valerie, I'm so sorry. What happens now? We'll continue supportive care. We'll manage her symptoms. Keep her comfortable. Comfortable. Not alive. Comfortable. She's 7 years old, I said. I know, Dr. Weinstein said softly. I'm so sorry. That night, Lily asked me when she'd get her new heart. I lied. I told her soon. August was brutal. Lily's ejection fraction dropped to 18% by August 22nd. She'd lost 9 pounds in 3 weeks. She was exhausted all the time. She'd try to play with her dolls and have to stop to catch her breath. Mommy, she said one afternoon, lying on the couch while I stroked her hair. I'm tired all the time. Is that normal? I forced a smile. Your heart is working really hard, baby. You're so strong. She looked at me with those green eyes. When do I get my new heart? Soon, I whispered. But we both knew I was lying. I called my parents one last time. August 19th. No answer. I didn't leave a message. On September 8th, Lily was admitted to the ICU. Her heart was giving out. James and I stayed with her. We didn't leave. We held her hands. We told her stories. We sang her favorite songs. At 6:31 a.m. on September 9th, 2021, her heart stopped. They tried to resuscitate her. I watched them do chest compressions on my 7-year-old daughter's tiny body. I watched the monitors. I watched the doctors exchange looks. At 6:47 a.m., Dr. Weinstein looked at me. Time of death, 6:47 a.m. I'm so deeply sorry. James sobbed. His whole body shook. I sat there holding Lily's hand. It was still warm. I didn't cry. I couldn't. I just sat there. I held her hand for 40 minutes before they made me let go. My parents flew in for the funeral. September 14th, 2021. Laurel Hill Cemetery, Philadelphia. 312 people came. Friends, co-workers, parents from Lily's school, people from our church, strangers who had donated to the GoFundMe and driven hours to be there. My parents sat in the back row. They didn't come to me before the service. They didn't sit with me. They sat in the back, my mother in a black Chanel suit, my father in his good navy blazer. After the service, my mother approached me at the graveside. Honey, she said, reaching for my hand. We're so sorry. If there's anything we can do. I pulled my hand away. You could have done something, I said. My voice was dead. Hollow. You didn't. That's not fair. Leave. My father started to say something. I turned and walked away. 2 days later, an envelope arrived. A condolence card. Inside was a check for $500. I stared at it for a long time. Then I deposited it and donated every cent to CHOP in Lily's name. I never spoke to my parents again. Or so I thought. For 2 months after Lily died, I barely functioned. I quit my job. James went back to work after 3 weeks because we had bills and someone had to pay them. I stayed home. I sat in Lily's room. I stared at her toys. I didn't sleep. On November 19, 2021, at 2:14 in the morning, I was scrolling through social media on my phone. I don't even know why. Habit, maybe. Something to do with my hands in the dark. That's when I saw my mother's post. Helen Green. November 19th. Beautiful weekend visiting Ethan's stunning new waterfront home. So proud of our successful son. #blessed #Seattle life #proudmom. There were 6 photographs. Ethan and Natalie on a balcony overlooking Puget Sound. The condominium was gorgeous. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Modern kitchen with marble countertops. Hardwood floors. A view that probably cost a fortune. I stared at the screen. Ethan had bought a house. I closed the app. I put my phone down. I lay in the dark. I didn't sleep. On January 14, 2022, at 3:28 in the morning, I opened my laptop. I Googled Seattle waterfront condos. I scrolled through listings. I recognized the view from my mother's photographs. I found it. A luxury waterfront building in West Seattle. Corner unit, top floor. Then I did something I'd never done before. I pulled up King County property records. Public information. Anyone can search it. I typed in the address. The results loaded. Owner, Ethan Charles Green. Purchase date, October 15, 2021. Sale price, $580,000. My hands started shaking. October 15th. 1 month and 6 days after Lily died. I clicked View Full Transaction History. Purchase agreement signed, August 23, 2021. Down payment, $130,000. Co-signers, Charles Green, Helen Green. August 23. 2 weeks before Lily died. They were signing mortgage papers while I was begging God to keep my daughter's heart beating. I printed everything. Transaction history, deed, mortgage documents, wire transfer records. 63 pages. I put them in a 3-ring binder. I didn't cry. I was past crying. James came home from work the next day and found me at the kitchen table surrounded by paper. "What is this?" he asked. I slid the binder across the table. He read in silence. I watched his face change, confusion, shock, rage. "They had the money," he said finally. His voice was barely above a whisper. "They always had the money. Keep reading." He flipped to page 18. My father's Vanguard account statement from July 2021. Balance, $680,000. Page 19. My mother's 401k rollover, $520,000. Over $1 million in retirement accounts. But no liquidity. No money to help. That's when James found the email. He'd been going through an old tablet we kept in the kitchen. We used to use it to share photos with my parents back when we still talked to them. It was still logged into my mother's email. She had never logged out. She had never deleted her old messages. James opened the app. Scrolled back to August 2021. And there it was. From Charles Green to Helen Green, Ethan Green. Date, August 10, 2021. 9:14 p.m. Subject, Seattle Property Opportunity. Ethan, we've reviewed the financials. The Seattle market is hot. If we move now with a $130,000 down payment, your equity growth projections are solid. 12% ROI in 3 years is significantly better than our current bond yields. Helen and I have discussed Valerie's situation at length. We want to help, of course, but we have to be realistic. The transplant is a gamble. Even with the surgery, pediatric dilated cardiomyopathy has a 5-year survival rate around 70 to 80%. We'd be liquidating a significant portion of our retirement funds for a maybe. Your condo is a sure thing. It's a tangible asset. Family wealth stays in the family. Let's move forward and close this deal. Dad. James showed me the tablet. I read the email 3 times. Family wealth stays in the family. I wasn't family. Lily wasn't family. We were a maybe. A gamble. A bad investment. Ethan's condo was a sure thing. I made a spreadsheet. I needed to see it laid out completely. July 15, 2021. Transplant deposit deadline missed. We were $114,000 short. August 10, 2021. My father's email approving Ethan's condo purchase. August 23, 2021. Purchase agreement signed. Down payment, $130,000. August 25, 2021. Wire transfer executed from Charles and Helen Green's joint account to Ethan's escrow. September 9, 2021. Lily died. October 15, 2021. Deed filed. Ethan officially owned the condo. They had the money. They always had the money. They chose his view over her life. I looked at James. I want to have dinner with them. All of us. You, me, my parents, Ethan, Natalie. I want to sit across a table from them. James was quiet for a long time. Are you sure? I want them to look me in the eye. He nodded slowly. Okay. I called my mother on February 1st, 2022. She answered on the second ring, breathless. Valerie. Her voice cracked. Honey, I didn't think you'd ever. I've been thinking, I said calmly. About everything. About us. I want to try to heal. I think we should have a family dinner. Talk. Start over. A beat of stunned silence. Then, yes. Yes, absolutely. Oh, Valerie, I'm so glad. I'll call Ethan. We can do it here in Naples. When can you come? How about next weekend? Saturday the 12th. Perfect. I'll make your favorite. We booked flights that night. James asked if I was sure. I showed him the binder. I'm sure, I said. February 12th, 2022. 6 p.m. We pulled up to 1847, Cypress Terrace. Ethan and Natalie's rental car was already in the driveway. My mother opened the door before we could knock. She threw her arms around me, sobbing. I'm so glad you're here, she whispered. I stood stiff. After a moment, I patted her back. Hi, Mom. My father appeared in the doorway. He looked older, grayer. Valerie. He held out his hand. I shook it. Ethan and Natalie were in the living room. Ethan stood when we walked in. He looked uncomfortable. Hey, sis. Long time. Yeah, I said. Long time. My mother had made glazed salmon, roasted vegetables, mashed potatoes. There was a $38 bottle of Chardonnay on the table. I know because I checked the receipt later. The first 15 minutes were small talk. My father asked James about work. James answered in short sentences. My mother asked if we were eating enough. I said we were fine. Natalie talked about a new case her firm had taken. My mother beamed. And Ethan just made VP. Youngest in his division. Congratulations, I said flatly. My father turned to me. How's work, Valerie? You were at the family services place, right? I quit, I said. After Lily died, I couldn't help other families when I couldn't save my own. The table went silent. 8 seconds. I counted. My mother cleared her throat. Well, the weather's been beautiful here. Much warmer than Philly. I'm sure Ethan's place is just breathtaking, she continued, desperate to fill the silence. We visited in November, right on the water. I took a sip of wine. I saw the photos on Facebook. Isn't it gorgeous? It is, she smiled. When did you buy it, Ethan? Ethan looked up. Last fall. We closed in October, I think. October 15th, I said. He blinked. Yeah, sounds right. And when did you make the offer? August, maybe. Why? I reached into my bag. I placed the binder on the table. Everyone stopped eating. This, I said, opening to the first page, is Lily's death certificate. September 9th, 2021. Cause of death, cardiac arrest secondary to dilated cardiomyopathy. Signed by Dr. Rachel Weinstein. My mother's face went white. I turned to the next page. This is the King County property record for Ethan's condominium. 2891, Alki Avenue Southwest, Seattle. Purchase price, $580,000. Down payment, $130,000. Co-signers, Charles Green, Helen Green. My father's jaw tightened. Page 5. I slid the paper across the table. Wire transfer confirmation. August 25, 2021. $130,000 from your joint Wells Fargo account to Ethan's escrow. Natalie stared at her plate. Page 12. I read the email aloud, every word. When I got to family wealth stays in the family, My voice finally cracked. But I kept going. Page 18, your Vanguard statement, Dad. July 2021. Balance, $680,000. Page 19, Mom's 401k rollover. $520,000. You had over $1 million. You told me you had no liquidity. You wired $130,000 to Ethan 6 weeks after you told me you were broke. My father stood up. Valerie, this is out of context. You told me you had no liquidity. We didn't. We told you most of our money was in index funds. You wired $130,000 to Ethan 2 weeks before Lily died. My mother was crying. We were trying to help the family long term. Lily was family. My voice rose for the first time. She was 7 years old. Ethan spoke then, quietly, carefully. Val, I didn't know the full details of Lily's situation. Mom and Dad made a financial decision. The condo was an investment. Real estate appreciates. Medical expenses are, they're a black hole. You can't guarantee outcomes. I looked at him. Say that again. He hesitated. I just mean statistically, Lily's odds weren't. Her odds were 83%. That's still a gamble. The condo has a guaranteed return. She was 7 years old. His ears went red. My father was on his feet now, face flushed. You want the truth, Valerie? Fine. Here's the truth. We made a choice. Lily had less than a 70% chance. We're old. We have to protect our future. Ethan's investment had guaranteed returns. We chose the smart financial decision. Smart financial decision, I repeated. Yes. And you know what? Even if we had given you the money, Lily probably would have died anyway. Kids with DCM don't make it. We would have thrown away $100,000 on a... He stopped. On a what? I whispered. He didn't answer. Say it, Dad. Say it. We would have wasted $100,000 on a corpse. My mother gasped. Natalie dropped her fork. James stood so fast his chair fell backward. Ethan went white. I stood up slowly. I looked at my father. You're right, Dad, I said. My voice was very calm now, cold. Lily is dead. And you killed her. Not the disease. You had the money. You chose a view over her heartbeat. You chose granite countertops over her breath. You chose your son over your granddaughter. I picked up my bag. So here's what happens now. You will never contact me again. You will not call. You will not text. You will not email. You will not show up at my house. If I see you in a grocery store, I will turn around and walk the other way. My mother sobbed. You are not my parents. You are investors who cut a bad asset. I looked at Ethan. Enjoy the view. Every sunrise on Puget Sound, that's Lily. Every time you walk on that balcony, you're stepping on her grave. You bought it with her life. I looked at James. We're leaving. I left the binder on the table. You keep it, I said. Frame it. We walked out. Behind us, my mother was sobbing. My father was shouting something. I didn't hear what. The door closed. 4 years of silence began. The first week was a flood. My mother called 47 times in 3 days. I didn't answer. I blocked her number. My father sent emails with subject lines I saw in preview before I deleted them unread. Please read this. I'm sorry. Let me explain. I marked them as spam. Ethan texted, we need to talk. I blocked him. On February 21st, I changed my phone number without telling them. The letters started in March. Handwritten. My mother's looping cursive on cream-colored stationery. I recognized her handwriting on the first envelope. I wrote return to sender and put it back in the mail. By May, I'd returned 11 letters. The 11th arrived on April 3rd. Lily's birthday. She would have been 8. I didn't return that one. I burned it in the kitchen sink. James found me standing there watching the paper curl and blacken. He didn't say anything. He just put his arm around me. I started therapy in late February. Dr. Monica Shaw. Tuesdays at 4 p.m. She had kind eyes and gray hair she wore in a bun. She didn't push. She listened. In our third session, she asked, "Are you grieving your daughter or your family?" "Both," I said. "You're allowed to grieve both losses." "I only lost one," I said. "The other was never mine." She was quiet for a moment. "Do you think you'll ever forgive them?" "No. You don't have to," she said. I felt lighter after that session. I went back to work in June. Not the same nonprofit. I couldn't go back. Too many memories of the person I'd been before. I got a job at the Philadelphia Coalition for Child Advocacy. $61,000 a year, helping kids in the foster system. Children who had been failed by the people who were supposed to protect them. I understood them. I built a new life. One where blood didn't mean anything automatically. Where family meant the people who showed up. James and I had date nights again. We laughed again. It took time, but we found our way back to each other. We planted a cherry blossom tree in our backyard for Lily. It bloomed every April. I thought I was done with them. And then the phone rang. 4 years, 9 months, and 24 days after I walked out of that dinner in Naples. I was at my desk writing a case report on a 14-year-old girl who'd been in 6 foster placements in 2 years. My phone rang. Unknown number. Something made me pick up. Hello. Heavy breathing. Then, Valerie. Valerie, please don't hang up. My mother's voice. I froze. It's Mom. I know you don't want to talk to me. I know. But it's Ethan. He's dying. He has cancer. Leukemia. He collapsed at work. They rushed him to the hospital. The doctors said he needs a bone marrow transplant. They said you're the only chance. Please, Valerie. I'm begging you. He's your brother. My hand tightened on the phone. How did you get this number? That doesn't matter. Please. I don't have a brother. I hung up. I sat at my desk staring at the wall. James came home that evening and found me in the same position I'd been in that morning. "What's wrong?" he asked. I told him about the call. "What are you going to do?" "Nothing." He didn't say anything. But I could tell he didn't believe me. 2 days later, my phone rang again. Different number. Professional. Calm voice. "Miss Green, this is Sarah Brennan. I'm a patient advocate at Swedish Medical Center in Seattle. I'm calling about your brother, Ethan Green." I didn't hang up. Ethan was admitted 5 days ago with acute myeloid leukemia. It's an aggressive subtype. He's begun chemotherapy, but his prognosis without a bone marrow transplant is very poor. We've tested all available family members, his wife, your parents. None are compatible matches. And you want me to get tested? Yes. Siblings have about a 25% chance of being a compatible match. You're his only sibling. Would you be willing to undergo HLA typing? It's a simple blood test. No obligation beyond that. I closed my eyes. If I say no, we'll continue searching the National Registry. But the odds of finding a 10 out of 10 match from an unrelated donor are less than 1%. Without a transplant, Ethan's prognosis is 4 to 8 weeks. 4 to 8 weeks. Lily had 6 months to a year. My parents had said that wasn't worth the investment. "I'll think about it," I said. "Of course. But Ms. Green, time is something he doesn't have much of." I agreed to the test. December 12, 2026. LabCorp in Philadelphia. 3 vials of blood. The results came back 3 days later. Sarah Brennan called on December 15th. Ms. Green, you're a perfect 10 out of 10 HLA match. I didn't say anything. This is exceptionally rare. The probability of a sibling being a perfect match is only about 3%. You're Ethan's best chance for survival. 3%. My father had said Lily's 83% survival rate wasn't good enough odds. Here I was. A 3% miracle. What happens if I say no? Ethan's oncologist will continue searching the National Registry. But without a transplant, with his particular subtype of AML, he has weeks. Maybe a month if he responds well to chemotherapy. With a transplant from you, his 5-year survival rate is 65 to 75%. Better odds than Lily had. I need time to think. Of course. But Valerie, time is the one thing he doesn't have. December 15th to December 19th. 4 days. 4 nights of no sleep. James didn't push me. He just stayed close. Made sure I ate. Held me when I cried. I kept thinking about Lily. What would she want me to do? I knew the answer. I hated it. On December 17th, I called Dr. Shaw. Emergency session. She cleared her schedule. What's holding you back? She asked. If I save him, they win. My parents. Ethan. They get what they want again. They always get what they want. And if you don't save him? I was quiet for a long time. I become them. Dr. Shaw leaned forward. Valerie, what would you tell Lily if she were here right now? I closed my eyes. I saw her. 7 years old. Green eyes. That smile. I'd tell her I love her. I'd tell her she's the best thing I ever did. What would she tell you? I knew. I'd always known. She'd tell me to save him. On December 19th at 9 in the morning, I called Sarah Brennan. I'll do it, I said. I'll donate. But I have conditions. I don't want to see my parents before the procedure. I don't want to see Ethan. I'll do this and then I'm done. We can arrange separate waiting areas. Private recovery. You won't have to see anyone you don't want to see. Okay. Thank you, Valerie, she said softly. You're saving his life. I'm not doing it for him. The donation was scheduled for December 27th. I'd fly to Seattle on the 26th for pre-op. James asked if I was sure. Lily would do it, I said. So I will. December 26th, 2026. James and I flew to Seattle. Sarah had arranged everything, a private pre-op room, a separate waiting area away from my family. I saw my mother once, briefly, in the hallway outside the surgical wing. She saw me. Her face crumpled. Valerie, thank you. Thank you so much. Security stepped between us before she could reach me. Sarah had briefed them. Ma'am, you need to return to the family waiting area. I looked past my mother and kept walking. Pre-op was on the 2nd floor, West Wing. The nurse explained the procedure, bone marrow aspiration from my pelvic bone. General anesthesia, 4 hours approximately, 2 days of inpatient observation. You're very brave, she said. I'm not brave, I said. I'm just not them. December 27th. 6 a.m. They wheeled me into the OR. I counted backward from 10. I didn't make it past 7. I woke up at 11:30. Groggy, sore. My hip ached like I'd taken a direct blow. James was sitting next to my bed. Did it work? They got what they needed. 1180 milliliters. Ethan's transplant is tomorrow morning. I nodded and closed my eyes. That evening, there was a knock on my door. I knew who it was before I opened it. Ethan stood there, thin, pale, bald from the chemotherapy. He looked about 20 years older than the last time I'd seen him. Val, he said quietly. I know you don't want to see me. I needed to say something before tomorrow. I stood in the doorway. I didn't invite him in. I don't deserve this. I know that. You could have let me die. I would have understood. I didn't do it for you. I know. But I need you to know, I'm sorry. For all of it. For not standing up for you. For the condo. For Lily. I looked at him for a long moment. Okay. He blinked. That's it? Just, okay. What do you want me to say, Ethan? That I forgive you. I don't. But I'm not going to let you die. Not because you're my brother. Because I'm not them. I held his gaze. Now go back to your room. You have a transplant tomorrow. And, Ethan. He looked back. Lily would have wanted me to save you. That's why I did it. Remember that. He left. James asked if I was okay. I don't know, I said. For the first time, that feels honest. 3 weeks later, Sarah Brennan called. Valerie, I wanted to update you. Ethan's engraftment is strong. His blast cell count is down to 2%. The transplant worked. He's going to make it. Good. He asked if he could have your contact information to thank you. No. Understood. But Valerie, what you did was extraordinary. I did what Lily would have done. That's all. I hung up. I sat on the couch and stared at the wall. I felt lighter. Not happy. Not healed. But lighter. 6 months later, in June 2027, a letter arrived. Not to my house, but forwarded to me through Sarah Brennan with my permission. The envelope was thick. I almost didn't open it. But I did. Valerie, we don't expect forgiveness. We don't deserve it. We made a choice that destroyed our family. Your father hasn't been the same since that dinner. Neither have I. We're in therapy, together and separately. We're trying to understand how we became people who could do what we did. Last month, we sold the Naples condo. We donated the full proceeds, $385,000, to CHOP's cardiac transplant fund in Lily's name. It won't bring her back. It won't fix what we did. But we wanted you to know we were wrong. Profoundly, devastatingly wrong. If you ever want to talk, we're here. If you don't, we understand. We love you. We're so sorry. Mom and Dad. Attached was a donation receipt from the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia Foundation. $385,000. The Lily Marie Green Cardiac Transplant Fund. I called Dr. Shaw. They donated the house money to CHOP, I said. How does that make you feel? I don't know. That's okay. Should I respond? What do you want? I don't know that either. Then wait until you do. I waited a year. February 2028. 6 years after the confrontation dinner in Naples. I called my mother. She answered on the first ring. Valerie. Hi, Mom. Silence. Then crying. I want to try something, I said carefully. Just coffee. Breakfast. At my house. You and Dad. Just to talk. Yes, she said immediately. Yes. When? Saturday the 10th. 10 a.m. We'll be there. February 10th, 2028. My mother and father stood on my porch. They looked old, smaller than I remembered. I opened the door. Come in. My mother hugged me. I stood stiff for a moment. Then I patted her back. James had made coffee, scrambled eggs, toast, fruit. 4 plates. 4 chairs. We sat at my kitchen table. At first, silence. Then slowly, conversation. Not about Lily. Not yet. Small things. The weather. James's new project. My mother's book club. Lily's photo was on the mantel. Everyone saw it. No one said anything. When they were leaving, my mother turned at the door. Can we do this again sometime? I thought about it. Maybe, I said. I'll let you know. My father's voice was quiet. It's more than we deserve. Thank you, Valerie. They left. James put his arm around me. How do you feel? I watched them drive away. It's a start, I said. And then I cried. Not from sadness. From something else. Something like hope. People ask me if I've forgiven them. I don't have a clean answer. Forgiveness isn't a switch you flip. It's a process. Some days I'm angrier than others. Some days I see Lily's face in my mind and I want to scream at the unfairness of all of it. But I also see this. My parents sold their dream retirement home and gave every dollar to save other children. Children like Lily, who needed a chance and didn't get one. The Lily Marie Green Cardiac Transplant Fund has already helped 2 children receive transplants they couldn't have afforded otherwise. Ethan calls once a month. I don't always answer. When I do, we talk about small things, work, the weather. We're not close. We may never be. And that's okay. Last week, I went to Lily's grave at Laurel Hill Cemetery. February 14, 2028. Valentine's Day. I brought pink roses, her favorite. I sat there for an hour talking to her, telling her about the breakfasts with her grandparents, about Ethan, about the fund in her name that's already changing lives. I told her I missed her. And for the first time in 6 years, when I walked away from that cemetery, I smiled. The sun was setting. James was making dinner. My phone buzzed. A text from my mother. Thank you for yesterday. Love you. I didn't reply right away. But I didn't delete it either. Progress. 4 plates. 4 chairs. A beginning. Not perfect. But real. I didn't save Ethan because I forgave him. I saved him because I'm not them. Because Lily taught me that love isn't transactional. It's not an investment with guaranteed returns. It's not a portfolio you manage for maximum yield. It's a choice. They chose wrong. I chose different. And maybe that, choosing different when everything in you wants to make them feel what they made you feel, maybe that's the hardest thing anyone can ever do. Maybe that's also the only thing that makes you better than the people who hurt you. Love is a verb, not a transaction. I learned that from a 7-year-old girl with green eyes and her father's smile. And I will carry it for the rest of my life.